I don't think there's a game that takes me back to the childlike wonder of the holiday season like Sonic Jam. This is going to be a weird story, so let me take you back to the year 2013. Every kid who was into video games had the latest and greatest on their Christmas list. PlayStation 4s, Xbox Ones, Wii U's, you name it. But what was a young Nick asking for? Well, there was nothing more I wanted than a Sega Saturn with all the Sonic games on it. Was I a weird kid? Maybe. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. As a kid, I wasn't really interested in many new video games. I was all about the retro stuff. The new games during my era never really appealed to me. Sure, I liked what Nintendo was doing, but even they were struggling to put out new stuff. So look back, I did. And I had parents cool enough to go out of their way to find these old consoles for me. I had a Dreamcast, Genesis, N64, NES. My old soul was all about the past. Keep in mind, I found this obsession by myself. Most people found their passion for vintage video games through online personalities. But me? Old video games were something that always fascinated me. Our N64 was in a closet for many years. I would occasionally open the closet just to look at it. I wanted to know more. Almost no console fascinated me more than the Sega Saturn. Leading up to Christmas, I watched every single Sega Saturn commercial. This man needs no introduction. He was the first ever Kamen Rider. He's a big deal. I love these commercials so much. And yes, I can confirm, as a Sonic tuber, this is how the grind looks like sometimes. Little me was riding on getting a Sega Saturn. It's all I wanted. Well, as luck would have it, on Christmas Day in 2013, I received a Sega Saturn with all the Sonic games on it. Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic R, and Sonic Jam. I was so jazzed. I wanted Sonic Jam so much purely because of the Sonic World thing. The fact the Saturn had a mini 3D game on it was so cool to me. And during that time, there was hardly any videos on it, so all I could do was wait and see it for myself. Sonic R was also a huge deal for me, but that's for another day. After the Christmas morning shenanigans, I ran right down to the cave to hook this bad boy up and start gaming. The Sega Saturn OS is to this day my top 3 console UIs of all time, being right behind the Dreamcast, of course. Sega knew it better than anyone else back then, man. Very easy to use while having flair. Once the game started, I was in for an experience I would never forget. Well, I guess I'm kind of obligated to give the history of Sonic Jam, shall I? The Sega Saturn was actually a more successful console than more people even realize, at least within its home country of Japan. Being the second most popular console of that generation right behind the PlayStation, it had over 1,000 games, which for perspective, the N64 only had 400. Yeah, people loved the Saturn, versus the Mega Drive, which was not a huge success in Japan at all, believe it or not. That's the facts. So with that said, Sega's mascot, Sonic, never really took off like it did in other territories. Reportedly, when Nights into Dreams, a Sonic Team developed game released, many people mailed out letters to Sonic Team and asked who or what Sonic is. Enter Project Sonic. With Sega's hit console, Yuji Naka and Naoto Ishima thought it was very important to introduce Sonic to their player base. Sonic made an appearance in the 1996 Christmas Nights, which was the first ever playable version of the character in a 3D plane. This would be some Japanese fans' first introduction to the character. However, they wouldn't have to wait too much longer to learn more. At the 1997 Tokyo Game Show, Sega announced Sonic Jam, a compilation of Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. These weren't just ports. These games were rewritten for the Saturn, meaning they could add new stuff to them and make it smoother for the updated hardware. It would also feature a 3D world that would allow for players to visit things like museums, movie theaters, and art galleries to get a history lesson on the franchise. Strangely, no Sonic CD though. Even for its time, people criticized the game's exclusion. There is no real concrete answer as to why CD isn't here, but it's painfully obvious to anyone who knows anything about these old consoles. Sonic CD had a full soundtrack right on the disc. It was 100% for space limitation issues. The music on the Genesis games were small in size, but CDs? That took up a lot of room. I imagine instead of changing the game's soundtrack and losing the original vision, it was easier just to leave it out. But either way, Sonic Jam released in late 1997, and it did its job well enough. It wasn't the rip-roaring success Sonic Team had hoped for, but it did make some new fans out of the Hedgehog. With that out of the way, I want to give a look at Sonic Jam, what it added, and give some personal reflection on this wonderful game. As stated before, the Mega Drive games aren't just ports, they were completely rewritten for the Saturn with the original source code. This means that this isn't emulation. These games run natively on Saturn and much smoother to boot. They removed a lot of the lag from the originals, and the best showcase Sonic 2's Chemical Plant Zone. Being Source allowed for the devs to add stuff to the games, and there is no bigger showcase than in Sonic 1. Alright, let me set the stage. What is everyone's big issue with Sonic 1? The lack of a spin dash. Well, Sonic Jam was the first game to actually add that back into the original title. No ROM hack, no retro engine, all original. That's not all either. They even managed to fix a lot of the bugs and glitches that were present in the originals, such as the spike glitch from Sonic 1 and the numerous bugs that were rampant in Sonic 3. These changes make this collection the definitive way to play the original titles from a gameplay perspective. Of course, I always tend to play the OGs on Genesis just because, but for years I got my classic Sonic fix on Saturn. Sonic Jam also introduces new difficulty modes, and well, yes, the easy mode is for literal babies. I actually think this is a good thing. This allows for people who aren't as good at these games to give it a shot and have fun with it. A lot of us diehards are brain rotted by just how difficult these games are for new people. Now, if you only play on easy, skill issue, get good, lol. But working your way up on the rankings, that's a legit good way to practice. Each difficulty option alters level design to fit its respective mode. I, of course, play in the original mode, but don't feel embarrassed to pick easy if you're not having fun. Not all changes are for the better. For example, they replaced some of the sound effects with, quote, better sounding effects. And while it is technically true, but just because something is higher quality doesn't mean it's always better. A lot of the classic sound effects still sound a lot more classic to me. In all, this is one of the best and most unique ways to experience these games. It was the first time I ever beat Sonic 3. I remember feeling so happy when I finished the game. Nowadays, of course, we have Sonic Origins, which in many ways feels like the successor to Sonic Jam, but to me, Sonic Jam feels more Sonic-like, and not what they want us to think classic Sonic is. And honestly, biases aside, I don't recommend you guys seek a copy out just because of how expensive it is nowadays. But a diehard fan, what are you doing if you don't have it already? Get on that! And now we get to the good shit. Sonic World is a 3D hub world-esque game that allows you to do fun little challenges, like get X amount of rings, final the star post, or touch Miles? Okay, what this actually means is finding Tails, but man, they needed a better way to word that. Honestly, the fun of Sonic World is just exploring. This was designed to be a mini hub of all things Sonic. Visit museums, appreciate the scenery. There are even secret codes you can find that give you tips on the actual games, like how to unlock Super Sonic, level select, etc. That's such a cool attention to detail. Fun fact, this little demo serves as a prototype for Sonic Adventure, in-engine only, but still, that factoid alone is worth getting the game for. It's a piece of history. In history, this world is full of. My personal favorite is visiting the movie theater, watching all of these shorts that were included. Although this unfinished Sonic CGI promotion is the stuff of nightmares though. Man of the Year is so fun. This is when American fans found out that humans coexist with the animals, even though Eggman is a human, and even though humans exist in Archie, and how humans even exist within the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, maybe old heads are just dumb, alright? Not to mention the old commercials you get to watch. You even get to see the Sonic CD intro and ending. This was most US fans' first time getting to listen to You Can Do Anything in Cosmic Eternity. This would have blown me away if I was a Sonic fan in the 90s, and even more so because you get to watch the trailer for the Sonic OVA. I'm pretty sure this is the first time ever appearance of the OVA in the US. No dub in sight. This is so cool to me. I love Sonic World. There's just something about it. Allow me to get emotional for a second. Sonic World is one of my favorite video game experiences of all time. I know that might sound weird to some of you. It's just a hub world with hardly anything to do in it, and sure, you can say that, but this, to me, is the goodbye to the classic era. It's a celebration of all things Sonic up to its era. Seeing a Sonic series retrospective in 1997 is so interesting to me. Hearing the gallery music, which, yes, did originate from Sonic Jam, looking at all the art of the characters and their bios, reading about the series' history and major events, brings back so many feelings of being a young Sonic fan wanting to learn all I could about the franchise. This was my history book, if anything. It's what sparked my love for Sonic history. Who knows? Without this game, I may have never made this channel to begin with. Wandering around this field, platforming to see what's above, taking a flight with Tails, checking out the mini-movies in the theater, watching Sonic tap his little feet, doing the challenges. As short as they are, this game will forever be in my heart. It's unforgettable. It's only something that you can experience on a Sega Saturn. Emulating it doesn't do it justice at all. This is a game I revisit every year around this time, just to do some self-reflection. On the journey that's been my life, all the friends I made up to this point, how every one of them has helped me and encouraged me along the way. Some stories may be a little sad, yes, but that's just life. The fact you can feel these sort of emotions at all is a beautiful thing. If you ever miss someone, that just means you love them so much, and that's something that makes life worth living. All of this comes back to me the moment I load up Sonic Jam. It's my end of year recap. It makes me stop to think about my life and the people around me. Is life perfect? Absolutely not. But you know what? It's good to be me right now. I wouldn't have it any other way. This year has been one I've been dreaming about since I was a kid. I get to make YouTube videos for an audience I genuinely love. Back in January, I was at 70 subscribers, and now look, over 2,000 counting. Yeah, I know, I'm still a very small count in the grand scheme of things, but thinking this way does a massive disservice to anyone who watches and enjoys my videos. You guys aren't just any normal viewers. We are a family, really. I love hanging out with you guys in my live streams or in the server. This year I have met so many amazing people, not just in the Sonic community, but other places as well. I've made friends with so many people I never thought I would, and I can't express how wonderful it is. I don't think I could ever really get this down right, so I'll try my best. Seriously, thank you to everyone who made this possible. Thank you for changing my life for the better. I plan on giving my all for 2025. Expect bigger videos, bigger production value, and bigger hearts. Enjoy your holiday, and don't forget to tell the people in your life that you love them. This has been NNC, signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.